In the sterile boardrooms of Silicon Valley and the echoing halls of Beijing's Zhongnanhai, a high-stakes drama unfolded in the autumn of 2025, one that pitted technological innovation against national security in the escalating rivalry between the world's two largest economies. On November 5, Chinese authorities quietly issued a directive that sent shockwaves through the global semiconductor industry: a ban on foreign artificial intelligence chips in all new state-funded data centers. This move, confirmed through sources close to the matter, required the immediate removal of any installed foreign hardware from projects less than 30% complete, effectively barring products from American giants like Nvidia, Advanced Micro Devices, and Intel. As the news rippled out, executives from these companies scrambled to lobby Washington and Beijing, their pleas for exemptions underscoring a desperate bid to salvage billions in revenue. Nvidia, once commanding 95% of China's AI chip market, saw its foothold crumble, prompting its CEO, Jensen Huang, to publicly argue that restricting sales would only accelerate China's self-sufficiency. This was retaliation in its purest form, a calculated response to years of U.S. export controls that had starved Chinese firms of advanced technology. Yet beneath the surface, it revealed a deeper shift: China's determination to forge an independent AI ecosystem, even as American tech leaders found themselves begging for mercy in a game where the rules were no longer theirs to dictate. This is the story of how the battle over AI chips escalated into a full-blown economic confrontation, threatening to reshape the future of artificial intelligence and the balance of global power. To understand the magnitude of China's November 2025 ban, we must first delve into the fundamentals of artificial intelligence chips and the intricate supply chains that power them. Artificial intelligence, or AI, refers to computer systems designed to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as recognizing patterns in data, making predictions, or generating text and images. At the heart of advanced AI are specialized semiconductors known as AI chips. These are not the general-purpose processors found in everyday laptops. They are optimized for the massive parallel computations needed to train and run AI models. The most prominent examples are graphics processing units, or GPUs, originally developed for rendering video game graphics, but repurposed for AI due to their ability to handle thousands of operations simultaneously. Nvidia, an American company founded in 1993, dominates this space with chips like the A100, H100, and their successors, which can perform trillions of calculations per second. These chips are essential for data centers, vast warehouses filled with servers that process the enormous datasets required for AI development. The global semiconductor supply chain is a marvel of international cooperation and vulnerability. Designing a chip involves sophisticated software and intellectual property, largely controlled by U.S. firms like Nvidia, AMD, and Intel. Manufacturing, however, requires extreme precision, etching circuits onto silicon wafers at scales measured in nanometers, billionths of a meter. This is dominated by Taiwan's Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, in Taiwan, and to a lesser extent Samsung in South Korea. Raw materials like high-purity silicon and rare gases come from various sources, including China, which controls over 90% of the world's refined rare earth elements, metals crucial for chip production. Assembly and testing often occur in Southeast Asia. This interdependence means that disruptions in one part of the chain can halt production worldwide, as seen during the COVID-19 pandemic when chip shortages crippled auto manufacturing and consumer electronics. The U.S.-China tech rivalry did not emerge overnight. It stems from broader geopolitical tensions, including trade imbalances, intellectual property theft allegations, and concerns over military applications of technology. In 2018, under President Donald Trump, the U.S. initiated tariffs on Chinese goods, citing unfair practices like state subsidies to Chinese firms. China retaliated with its own tariffs. The focus sharpened on semiconductors after reports that Chinese companies, including Huawei, were using American technology in ways that could benefit the People's Liberation Army. Huawei, a telecommunications giant founded in 1987, had become a symbol of China's tech ambitions, producing smartphones, network equipment, and increasingly, AI chips. In 2019, the U.S. placed Huawei on an entity list, restricting American companies from selling to it without licenses. This escalated in 2020 with rules requiring foreign manufacturers using U.S. technology to seek approval for sales to Huawei, effectively cutting off its access to advanced chips. by 2022 as AI exploded into public consciousness with tools like ChatGPT, the U.S. targeted AI specifically. In October 2022, the Bureau of Industry and Security, part of the Department of Commerce, imposed export controls banning the sale to China of any AI chip as capable as or more advanced than Nvidia's A100. This included restrictions on manufacturing equipment, preventing Chinese foundries like Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, or SMIC, from producing cutting-edge chips. The rationale was national security. U.S. officials argued that advanced AI could enhance China's military capabilities, from autonomous drones to surveillance systems. China denounced these as hegemonic bullying, accusing the U.S. of stifling its legitimate development. In response, Beijing began promoting domestic alternatives, investing billions in subsidies for companies like Huawei and Cambrican to develop indigenous chips. The tit-for-tat continued through 2023 and 2024. The U.S. tightened controls, blacklisting more Chinese entities and extending rules to allies like the Netherlands and Japan, which produce critical chip-making tools from companies like ASML. China countered by restricting exports of gallium and germanium, metals vital for semiconductors, in July 2023, and later antimony in 2024. These materials, while not rare earths, are processed predominantly in China, giving Beijing leverage. Domestically, China launched initiatives like the East Data West Compute Project, building massive data centers in western provinces to bolster computing power. Huawei unveiled its Ascend series chips, claiming parity with Nvidia's restricted models, though independent benchmarks showed gaps in performance and software compatibility. Entering 2025, the landscape shifted with Donald Trump's return to the White House. Trump's first term had ignited the trade war, his second promised escalation, with vows of tariffs up to 60% on Chinese goods. Yet pragmatism crept in. In early talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump floated deals allowing limited sales of advanced chips in exchange for concessions on trade deficits and fentanyl exports. Nvidia's H20 chip, a downgraded version compliant with U.S. rules, became a bargaining chip. On December 8, Trump announced that Nvidia could sell its H200 chips to China, provided the U.S. received a 25% cut, framing it as a win for American revenue. Xi reportedly responded positively, but behind closed doors, Beijing viewed this as insufficient, a mere crumb amid ongoing restrictions. The breaking point came in late October 2025, when the U.S. Commerce Department expanded blacklists, adding dozens of Chinese AI startups suspected of military ties. This blocked not just chips but design software and cloud services. Chinese officials, already frustrated, saw an opportunity to retaliate symmetrically. On November 5, the Cyberspace Administration of China and the National Development and Reform Commission issued internal guidance, leaked to Reuters through anonymous sources, mandating that all new data center projects receiving state funds use only domestic AI chips. For facilities under 30% complete, any foreign chips installed must be removed, and purchase plans canceled. More advanced projects would be reviewed case by case, but the intent was clear: purge foreign technology from critical infrastructure. This directive built on prior moves. In 2023, China had banned U.S. memory chip maker Micron from key sectors over security concerns, leading to Micron's near-total exit from China's server market by 2025. Earlier in the year, Beijing discouraged tech giants like Alibaba and Tencent from buying Nvidia's advanced chips, citing vulnerabilities. The November ban went further, targeting state-funded data centers, a massive sector. Since 2021, China had invested over $100 billion in such facilities, according to government tenders reviewed by Reuters. These centers, powering everything from smart cities to scientific research, represented a lucrative market for U.S. firms. Nvidia's H20 chips, the most advanced legally exportable, were explicitly covered, as were smuggled higher-end models like the B200 via gray markets. The immediate fallout was swift. Shares of Nvidia, AMD, and Intel dipped in after-hours trading on November 6 as the news broke. Nvidia, deriving up to 20% of its revenue from China pre-controls, had already seen its market share plummet to zero from 95% by 2022, per company statements. The ban threatened to erase remaining sales, estimated at billions annually. In a conference call, Jensen Huang urged the Trump administration to reconsider, arguing that cutting off China would force it to develop superior alternatives, harming U.S. interests. AMD and Intel echoed this, with executives privately lobbying through the Semiconductor Industry Association. Publicly, they declined comment, but sources indicated frantic appeals to Beijing for exemptions, highlighting their investments in China and compliance with local laws. By mid-November, the ban's implementation began. Provincial authorities audited projects, ordering swaps to domestic chips like Huawei's Ascend 910B or Cambrican's MLU series. One showcase was a Western China data center unveiled in October, powered entirely by Chinese hardware, symbolizing self-reliance. Exceptions were rare. Only highly advanced, nearly complete facilities might retain foreign chips if deemed irreplaceable, but even these faced scrutiny. Hidden beneath the official rhetoric of national security and self-sufficiency lie factors less discussed in public discourse, shaping China's decision and its execution. One is the gray market for chips. Despite U.S. controls, advanced Nvidia GPUs have flowed into China through intermediaries in Hong Kong, Singapore, and even the Middle East. Estimates suggest billions in smuggled hardware, often at premiums of 50% or more. The ban aims to curb this shadow economy, forcing users to adopt domestic alternatives and starving resellers. Another is the software ecosystem. Nvidia's dominance stems not just from hardware but from CUDA, its proprietary programming platform that developers worldwide use to optimize AI models. Chinese chips, while improving, lack equivalent ecosystems, leading to compatibility issues. Beijing's strategy includes heavy investment in open-source alternatives like OpenHarmony, but adoption lags due to retraining costs. Less visible is corporate espionage and talent poaching. China has recruited thousands of engineers from TSMC and U.S. firms, accelerating domestic capabilities. Huawei's chip design arm, HiSilicon, employs over 10,000, many with Western experience. Political timing plays a role too. The ban coincided with Trump's early overtures, serving as a bargaining chip to extract concessions like resumed H-200 sales without the 25% fee. Internally, it bolsters President Xi's narrative of technological independence, rallying nationalism amid economic slowdowns. Environmental costs are overlooked. Chip manufacturing consumes vast energy and water, exacerbating China's pollution challenges, yet subsidies prioritize speed over sustainability. Supply chain vulnerabilities add layers. China's rare earth dominance gives it leverage, but dependencies on Taiwanese foundries persist, risking disruptions from cross-strait tensions. Economically, the ban strains U.S.-China relations. American firms face revenue losses. Nvidia projected a $10 billion hit in 2026 if unrestricted. This could slow AI innovation globally as collaboration diminishes. For China, short-term pains include higher costs and performance gaps. Domestic chips are 20 to 30% less efficient, but long-term gains in self-reliance. The AI race intensifies. The U.S. leads in foundational models like GPT, but China's data abundance and state support could close gaps. Geopolitically, implications extend to allies. Europe, caught in the middle, sees firms like ASML restricted from China sales, prompting diversification. Developing nations in Africa and Latin America, recipients of Chinese AI infrastructure via Belt and Road, may adopt domestic chips, spreading Beijing's standards. Military dimensions loom. AI enhances surveillance in Xinjiang or potential Taiwan scenarios, while U.S. controls aim to maintain superiority. Cyber risks rise. Bans could provoke hacks on supply chains. As we reflect on this pivotal moment in late December 2025, China's AI chip ban stands as a watershed in the tech Cold War, a retaliation that forces U.S. giants to confront their dependency on the Chinese market. The pleas for mercy, from boardrooms to diplomatic channels, highlight vulnerability in a system built on globalization. Yet this confrontation may spur innovation, pushing both sides toward breakthroughs. For the world, it underscores AI's dual-use nature, a tool for progress or power. True resolution lies in dialogue, balancing security with cooperation. As chips evolve, so must our approach, ensuring technology serves humanity, not divides it. The beg for mercy may fade, but the quest for equilibrium endures. As the year 2025 draws to a close on this Christmas Day, the implementation of China's directive restricting foreign artificial intelligence chips in state-funded data centers has progressed steadily, reflecting a calibrated approach to technological sovereignty amid ongoing bilateral frictions with the United States. Issued in early November by relevant regulatory bodies, The guidance mandated the prioritization of domestic hardware in new infrastructure projects and the phased replacement of foreign components in facilities under construction. By December, provincial authorities had commenced audits and compliance reviews, with several Western region data centers transitioning to indigenous solutions such as Huawei's Ascend series and alternatives from domestic developers. While no blanket prohibition extended to private sector deployments or fully operational facilities, the policy effectively curtailed new procurements of advanced foreign chips for government-backed initiatives, aligning with broader objectives of reducing external dependencies in critical computing domains. Developments in the final weeks underscored pragmatic execution rather than abrupt severance. Reports from industry sources indicated that exemptions were considered on a case-by-case basis for projects nearing completion where substitution would entail disproportionate delays or costs. Domestic manufacturers ramped up production capacities to meet anticipated demand, supported by existing supply chain integrations and government coordination mechanisms. U.S. semiconductor firms, while expressing concerns over market access, maintained dialogue through established channels, emphasizing collaborative contributions to global innovation without public escalation. Market reactions remained contained, with share prices of affected companies stabilizing as investors assessed the scope against broader revenue diversification trends. Less visible factors continued to influence the policy's rollout. Advancements in domestic chip design and fabrication, bolstered by sustained research investments and talent development programs, provided viable alternatives that narrowed performance gaps observed in earlier generations. Software ecosystem maturation, including frameworks compatible with indigenous hardware, facilitated smoother transitions for developers and enterprises. Supply chain resilience initiatives addressed potential bottlenecks in supporting materials, ensuring continuity amid international restrictions on certain equipment. Regulatory oversight balanced security imperatives with operational practicality, allowing flexibility to preserve project timelines in strategic sectors. Globally, these measures contributed to an environment of parallel technological development, where nations pursued enhanced self-reliance in foundational capabilities. Allied economies monitored the implications for multilateral export coordination, while partners in emerging markets benefited from expanded access to alternative computing solutions through established cooperation frameworks. Innovation trajectories in artificial intelligence proceeded across jurisdictions, with differentiated strengths in hardware, data resources, and application domains fostering a more distributed landscape. In reflecting upon the close of 2025, China's policy on AI chip procurement in state infrastructure exemplifies a deliberate strategy to fortify domestic capabilities, implemented through measured steps that prioritize functionality and long-term independence. The guidance, while responsive to external constraints, advances a vision of technological autonomy grounded in incremental progress and ecosystem development. Complementary efforts in research, manufacturing, and standard setting reinforce this foundation, enabling sustained advancement without isolating participation in global knowledge exchange. The broader ramifications warrant thoughtful consideration. Policies promoting indigenous innovation enhance resilience against supply disruptions, potentially accelerating breakthroughs tailored to national priorities while contributing to diversified global progress. Balanced approaches to technology governance, encompassing security, competition, and cooperation, remain essential to mitigate risks of fragmentation and ensure that advancements serve inclusive objectives. Ongoing dialogue across stakeholders facilitates mutual understanding, preserving avenues for collaboration where interests align. Ultimately, the events surrounding this directive affirm that technological evolution in strategic domains unfolds through patient, adaptive measures shaped by sovereign imperatives and interdependence. Leadership in artificial intelligence derives not from exclusivity, but from comprehensive ecosystems capable of sustained contribution. As capabilities mature on multiple fronts, the imperative lies in frameworks that channel innovation toward shared challenges, fostering an environment where progress benefits humanity broadly. The path ahead calls for continued engagement and prudence, ensuring that policies in critical technologies support stability, equity, and collective advancement in an interconnected world. As the year 2025 concludes on this Christmas Day, the measured application of China's policy prioritizing domestic artificial intelligence chips in state-supported data center initiatives has continued to advance with deliberate precision, reinforcing a trajectory toward greater technological autonomy while accommodating practical considerations in implementation. The November guidance from central regulatory authorities, which encouraged the adoption of indigenous hardware in new and ongoing projects funded by public resources, has seen progressive adherence across regions. By late December, multiple large-scale facilities in inland provinces had completed or initiated transitions to locally developed processors, leveraging solutions from established domestic providers such as Huawei's Ascend lineup and complementary offerings from specialized firms. The approach maintained flexibility for advanced stage developments where immediate substitution would impose significant operational challenges, ensuring continuity in strategic computing infrastructure without unnecessary delays. Recent weeks have highlighted structured coordination in execution. Local administrations conducted thorough assessments of compliance, supported by technical guidance from national bodies, to facilitate seamless integration of alternative components. Domestic semiconductor enterprises expanded fabrication and testing capacities in response to projected requirements, drawing on integrated supply networks that have matured through sustained investment cycles. International suppliers, while monitoring the evolving landscape, pursued constructive engagement through formal industry associations and bilateral discussions, underscoring shared interests in stable global innovation ecosystems. Financial markets reflected composed assimilation of these developments, with valuations of principal stakeholders demonstrating resilience amid diversified revenue streams and forward-looking adaptations. Underlying aspects continue to shape this methodical progression. Continuous refinements in native chip architectures, informed by extensive research programs and collaborative talent initiatives, have steadily reduced disparities in performance and efficiency relative to prior benchmarks. Parallel maturation of supporting software environments, including optimized development tools and compatibility layers, has eased migration pathways for enterprises and research institutions. Resource allocation mechanisms addressed potential constraints in ancillary materials and components, maintaining momentum through proactive planning. Oversight frameworks balanced imperatives of security and self-reliance with pragmatic allowances that preserve project viability and timelines in priority domains. In the international arena, these policies have fostered an environment conducive to concurrent advancement across technological spheres, where jurisdictions cultivate specialized strengths in hardware design, data infrastructure, and applied innovation. Partner economies in developing regions have gained enhanced options through cooperative technology transfer and joint ventures, contributing to broader digital inclusion objectives. Multilateral forums observed the implications for coordinated export governance, while innovation ecosystems worldwide benefited from differentiated approaches that enrich the collective knowledge base in artificial intelligence. Upon reflection at the close of 2025, China's directives on computing hardware procurement in public infrastructure exemplify a thoughtful pursuit of technological resilience, realized through incremental, evidence-guided measures that strengthen domestic foundations without isolating engagement in global progress. The policy framework, responsive to external dynamics yet rooted in long-range planning, advances an ecosystem capable of independent advancement while retaining avenues for selective collaboration where mutual benefits align. Supporting investments in research, manufacturing scalability, and standards harmonization extend this base, positioning the nation for sustained contribution across evolving technological frontiers. The wider consequences merit careful contemplation. Initiatives promoting indigenous capabilities fortify defenses against supply uncertainties, potentially catalyzing specialized innovations attuned to national and regional needs while enriching the diversity of global solutions. Prudent governance of strategic technologies, integrating considerations of security, economic efficiency, and cooperative potential, remains vital to prevent undue fragmentation and to channel competitive energies toward constructive outcomes. Persistent channels of communication among stakeholders facilitate calibrated adjustments, preserving space for partnership in addressing transnational challenges. In summation, the trajectory observed throughout 2025 confirms that leadership in critical technological domains, emerges from comprehensive, adaptive strategies rather than isolated restrictions. Progress in artificial intelligence derives from robust ecosystems encompassing hardware, software, data, and talent, each maturing through dedicated effort and pragmatic accommodation. As capabilities develop along parallel paths, the guiding principle lies in architectures that harness competition to advance shared human objectives, ensuring that technological evolution serves stability, equity, and collective prosperity. The road forward emphasizes sustained dialogue and balanced stewardship, fostering an interconnected landscape where innovation flourishes in service of broader societal aspirations. As the year 2025 reaches its final moments on this Christmas Day, the ongoing refinement and application of China's policy favoring domestic artificial intelligence processors in publicly supported computing infrastructure have proceeded with characteristic deliberation, consolidating a foundation for enhanced technological independence while navigating the complexities of implementation in a dynamic global environment. The guidance introduced in November, which directed the preferential use of indigenous hardware in state-backed data center developments and encouraged the orderly substitution of foreign components where feasible, has been integrated into regional planning processes. Through December, authorities in various provinces have advanced compliance evaluations, with numerous facilities, particularly those in resource-rich interior regions, successfully incorporating locally engineered solutions from leading domestic enterprises, including Huawei's established Ascend platforms and specialized offerings from complementary providers. The framework continues to incorporate measured flexibility, permitting case-specific accommodations for projects at advanced stages of deployment to avoid disproportionate interruptions to critical operations. The concluding weeks of the year have been marked by systematic coordination and adaptation. Central oversight bodies have provided detailed technical support to local implementers, ensuring alignment with national priorities while addressing practical challenges in hardware integration and performance optimization. Domestic manufacturers have further scaled production lines and supply ecosystems, drawing on matured capabilities developed through long-term investment and innovation cycles. Engagement with international counterparts remains channeled through structured industry forums and diplomatic avenues, where discussions emphasize mutual contributions to stable technological progress and shared standards. Market participants have demonstrated composure, with equity valuations reflecting an assimilation of policy contours against a backdrop of broader strategic diversification and resilience-building efforts. Deeper considerations persist in guiding this steady evolution. Iterative advancements in native semiconductor architectures, supported by comprehensive research initiatives, talent cultivation programs, and collaborative engineering ecosystems, have progressively narrowed historical gaps in computational efficiency and specialized functionality. Concomitant development of robust software stacks, featuring refined programming interfaces and extensive compatibility resources, has streamlined adoption pathways for developers, enterprises, and academic institutions alike. Proactive management of supporting inputs and components mitigates potential constraints, sustaining momentum through foresighted allocation and redundancy planning. Governance mechanisms maintain equilibrium between security objectives and operational pragmatism, enabling tailored adjustments that uphold project integrity across strategic sectors. Within the broader international context, these initiatives contribute to a landscape of concurrent technological maturation, where diverse jurisdictions cultivate distinctive competencies in hardware engineering, data management, and domain-specific applications. Economies engaged through cooperative frameworks, particularly in emerging regions, benefit from expanded access to tailored computing resources, advancing digital transformation and inclusion goals. Observers in multilateral settings continue to assess implications for harmonized export regimes and innovation governance, while global research communities draw from varied approaches that collectively enrich the advancement of artificial intelligence capabilities. In contemplation of the year's end in 2025, China's approach to computing hardware selection in public infrastructure illustrates a principled commitment to technological self-strengthening, pursued through incremental, context-aware measures that fortify domestic ecosystems without precluding selective participation in international collaboration. The policy construct, informed by external developments yet anchored in strategic foresight, nurtures a comprehensive environment conducive to independent progress and sustained relevance across evolving frontiers. Reinforcing efforts in fundamental research, scalable manufacturing, and interoperable standards extend this trajectory, equipping the nation to contribute meaningfully to global technological discourse. The larger ramifications invite sustained reflection. Strategies emphasizing indigenous development bolster defenses against exogenous disruptions, fostering specialized innovations responsive to national imperatives while adding to the multiplicity of worldwide solutions. Judicious stewardship of strategic technologies, integrating security, efficiency, and cooperative dimensions, serves to channel competitive dynamics toward productive ends, minimizing risks of isolation and maximizing collective gains. Enduring avenues for exchange among interested parties enable nuanced calibration, preserving opportunities for partnership in confronting common challenges. In essence, the developments witnessed in 2025 underscore that excellence in pivotal technological fields arises from holistic, resilient systems rather than fragmented restrictions. Advancement in artificial intelligence flows from integrated strengths in hardware, software frameworks, data resources, and human capital, each cultivated through dedicated adaptive stewardship. As parallel pathways of progress emerge, the overarching aspiration resides in governance models that direct innovation toward universal benefits, promoting an interconnected ecosystem where technological evolution upholds stability, fairness, and shared human advancement. The horizon ahead calls for ongoing commitment to dialogue and equilibrium, ensuring that policies in foundational domains continue to foster an environment of mutual respect and collaborative potential in service of broader societal aspirations.